Okay, for number 23, we are going to simplify this complex fraction. And you know the deal. You see that we have this, and that are the small fractions instead of the big fraction, right? First of all, we are going to be looking for the lowest common denominator of the small fractions. And we'll multiply everything by the lowest common denominator. So let's put this down right here to make everything super clear. As you can see, the denominators here are just the power of x, right? This is x to the first power, x to the second power, x to the third power. So in this case, to get the lowest common multiple of this, and that, we just have to pick the x with the highest power. Therefore, it will be x to the third power, and that's it. And you will see this is going to work. After you multiply everything by x to the third power, we wouldn't end up with any more small fractions instead of a big one. So let's take a look right here. We will do 64 times x to the third power, and I left all the spaces already, right? You know the deal. Anyway, right here, let's multiply this by x to the third power as well, and multiply this by x to the third power, x to the third power, and the last one, x to the third power. This is very nice. And now, let's just see what do we end up with. Here, this is just 64x to the third power. That's just how it is. That's it. And you see that positive 1 over x to the third power times x to the third power, well, x to the third power, they cancel each other out completely, right? So we'll just have the plus 1 left. And then over the first term right here is 4x to the third power. Next, we have negative 11 over x times x to the third power. You see, we have x to the third power on the top. That means we have x times x times x on the top. We have one of the x on the bottom. So one of the x on the top and on the bottom can be cancelled out, right? How many more do we have left? We will only have 2 of the x left. You see, it will be cancel 1 out, and then we have 2 out, 2 left, I mean. Another way to do it is you can just do 3 minus 1. You get the 2, and that will be the new exponent for the x on the top, okay? So for this, we will have minus 11x to the second power. And we have this one, we can do the same thing, right? Negative 3 over x squared times x to the third power. You see, one way to do it is just do 3 minus 2. That will be 1, and that's the new power for the x. Another way to look at it is, I have 2 x's on the bottom, right? I can cancel out with them, 2 of them on the top, so I have 1 left. Alright, so right here, the last term, it will be minus 3x to the first power, so I'll just write down minus 3x, just like that, right? This is great. And now, let's take a look of how we can simplify this. On the top, this is the sum of 2 cubes. Can we factor this? Yes, we can, right? And let me just do it on the side for you guys real quick. So, to factor that out, we have 64x to the third power plus 1. We have to look at this as something to the third power plus something to the third power. Alright, so to get 64, something to the third power 64, we have to use 4, right? 4 to the third power is 64. And I also need to have the x. And for the 1, we know 1 to the third power is 1. And now we are ready. This is my a, this is my b. A to the third power plus b to the third power formula is going to tell me that we will first have 4x plus 1. This is the a plus b part. And then the second part is going to be, we take the a and square that. So 4x, you square the 4, you also square the x. So all in all, we get 16x squared, okay? Once again, for this right here, it's because we take the 4 and also the x, and we raise that to the second power. 4 squared is 16, x squared is x squared. And then continue, we will have a minus right here. You know, this right here is positive, positive, minus, all right? Be careful with the signs. And minus a times b, which is just 4x times 1, which we know is just going to be 4x. And let me also write this down for you guys. We have to do 4x times 1. That's the a times b part in the formula. Lastly, this is always going to be plus. And we have to do this number square. 1 squared is just 1. But be sure you know this is from 1, and we do that to the second power. We take that to the second power, all right? Therefore, this right here is the factor for that, okay? And I will just put this down right above it. So we will have 4x plus 1 times 16x squared minus 4x plus 1. Notice that we stopped it right here. The formula stops right here because it's not factorable. We just leave it as how it is. And now for the bottom, is there anything that we can do? I think so as well. And I will do it right here, okay? So let's take a look. 4x to the third power minus 11x squared minus 3x. First of all, let's take out an x because everything has an x, right? And here we have 4x squared minus 11x minus 3, just like that. And right here, I will just do a tic-tac-toe because it has 3 terms. Hopefully, I can find the correct combination. To get 4x squared, I need to, well, let me try 4x and x. And to get negative 3, let me try negative 3 and 1. Let me put down negative 3 here and 1 right here. Because I know I have to produce negative 11 right here. See? 4x times negative 3, that's negative 12x. 1 times x is positive x. So together, we do get the 11x, negative 11x, like that. So the factoring for this is going to be, don't forget the x in the front. And we will have 4x plus 1 times x minus 3, right? So this right here is the factoring for the bottom. And I will just put this down right here for you guys. We have x times 4x plus 1 times x minus 3, okay? As you can see, we have to be really good at factoring, right? So there will be a lot of factoring situations. At the end, we have what? We can cancel out this and that. The 4x plus 1 factor. And that's the most that we can do. And this is it. Final answer, we have down on the top, 16x squared minus 4x plus 1 over x times x minus 3 on the bottom. Just leave it as the factored form. This is actually preferred it. And here we have it. This is the answer.